Good morning. Morning, Mike Whaley. We're just going to hang out this morning and chat a little bit for a little while. It's not going to be a long stream because I have a eye doctor appointment to go to. So, morning, Ed. So yeah, we're just going to hang out and chat this morning. Hope everybody is doing well. Yes, I did. And it turned out not to be the heating element or any of the thermostats. It was the timer. So apparently there's a relay in the timer that tells the thermostat to heat up the heating coil. And so I guess the relay in the timer was bad. So swapped out the timer and fired it up and did a bunch of laundry last night. So yeah, I took the heating coil and both the thermostats off, and I took them up to the place, and they tested them, and all three tested good. And the lady behind the counter is like, "Well, there's only a couple other things it could be." And just as we were having that conversation, one of the techs walked by, and he said, "It's a timer." He said, "I'm sure of it." And now the place didn't offer refunds on parts, so if you bought a part, all sales are final. But he was like, "I'm so sure of it." He said, "I'm willing to put my personal money on the line." He's like, "If it doesn't work out for him, tell him to bring it back, and I'll buy it out of my own pocket, full price." I was like, "Okay." Morning, Roy. So there was a problem, Roy, with the frame I put up. I don't know if you got to printing any of that stuff. The frame that I put up, for some reason, the upper spring mounts were not attached to the frame. So when I broke off the supports, it took the upper spring mounts with it, and I went, that's not good. And so I had to glue mine in place and went back and I fixed the file, and I put it up on Discord. So if you haven't printed the frame yet, it should be fixed now. So if you didn't grab the frame I put up late last night, go grab that one. Because otherwise you'll have to do what I did and glue the upper spring mounts back onto the frame. Or waste a 12-hour print. But we have suspension travel. And steering. So it's fun. It's not fully functional because you really can't do much in the way of both springs compressing simultaneously. So I've either got to figure out a better way to mount that so that that articulates as well. But nevertheless, the wheels will be able to do this, which is the kind of articulation Jeeps are known for. And the tires will be able to turn in the front. I got to print the back. I was about to run out of filament, and I mean, so close. There was no way it was going to finish. So I stopped it at the layer right before it started printing the boxes in the back on top of the fender. So mine has none of the storage boxes on top of the back fender. But I stopped it just at that point, so everything else about it is complete. So it's no big deal. I'm fine with that. And the S4 is printing beautifully. As you can see, layer lines are nice and lined up and smooth, and So the print looks wonderful, and articulating the axle is possible with springs that push it back straight and can turn the wheels. You know, I was thinking of that, or trying to either incorporate this into a ball joint right here, would allow it to travel this way a little bit, or redesigning this so that it has a hinge in it that will hinge this way. Not sure yet. Right now I'm just happy with this. I want to sit down and look at it and see if there's a way I can do it without having to reprint the frame again. But it's coming along. That's the most important suspension travel that I was interested in anyway. So I want to take a picture with a tire sitting on like a rock or something so that it's articulated up. But I'm getting to that time of the week where most of my stuff will have to go on hold because it'll be back to work. It's back to work tonight, and then. But I have this coming Monday off because the rooftop at the stage where I play is closed on Monday for the company Christmas party. So. Yeah, I haven't printed the rear axle yet. I did make tubs to fill in the gaps here to hide the suspension. And when I made the front tub, I made a place to set an engine in it, and that's what got me thinking opening hood. So I think I'm going to design the hood to open as well on this version that I'm printing, and test that, and make a model of an engine to set inside, and just having fun, you know, enjoying the different things that I can do with the design and add to the design. And it's teaching me some things along the way. I mean, it does compress both just a little bit because of the little bit of play in the mounting point. It's kind of long. I need to load some more filament on the S4 because there's like one turn or two around the spool was all it's left on there. That's why I went ahead and stopped it, because I knew it wasn't going to be enough to print those storage boxes in the back. And so I'm like, well, if I stop it here, it won't look like something's incomplete. It'll just look like this is one without storage boxes. No big deal. And so I'm going to do the opening hood. I'm thinking of designing a special window and roof for this print. Do something a little different. That way it won't look the same as my other Jeep, other than the articulating suspension and steering and opening hood. I want it to look a little different as well, so I think I'm going to do a custom roof. So I hope everybody's doing well this morning. It is cold here in Clarksville. It's 25 degrees. And a little bit of breeze. And the breeze cuts right through you. So we're not going to stream a long time today because I do have a doctor's appointment, an eye doctor appointment. See if my vision has gone further south than the last time that I went. I don't think it has. I think it's stayed pretty consistent. Morning, Mr. Buttram. Or as he's known in some circles, Mr. Bertram. So Pooch always calls him. Morning, James. Everybody's favorite Canardian. He's cranking out a snappy. So your cats knocked their automatic feeder off the table trying to get more food out of it, huh? I like you, James. 6 parts to go, 2 of which are printing now. Awesome. Getting close. Yeah, all that effort. I would have laughed at him and said, "See what you get? That's what you get. You get nothing for your devious little plan. You get nothing." So yeah, when I made the front tub, I was like, I could set an engine in there. And so I'm going to design an engine to sit in there. And I've got a preliminary hinge design here for the hood. I may have to end up adding one of those L-shaped brackets to hold the hood so that when it opens, it's balanced more. But we'll see. I'm going to print this out first and test it. And then I'd messed around with where did I put it? Oh, for those who haven't seen the file, I know you all saw the beautiful job that Roy Holly did printing the multi-material grill, but there's the multi-material grill. And so I learned how to do that, was literally just making individual STLs that overlap each other without intersecting each other. Like they're all fitted together. So, you know, like the headlights, the turn signals, and that. So you can see that's all the parts that are in that color. And then the lights are embedded in there, but in a different color, but they don't intersect. They just fit snugly in. And the same with the turn lamps. And the text didn't come out. It was too small. It was too small. But it did leave. It does do that. Good morning, Chris Riley. So that is the multi-material version of the grill in 4 colors. While I was designing it, I made colors that contrasted a lot so I could, you know, more clearly see what was going on. But yeah, I think it turned out really well, and Roy did a remarkable job printing it on his multi-material unit. And then I've got some more multi-material plans in the near future. Even though I don't have a multi-material machine, I want to make stuff for you guys who do. How's the weather in KC there, Chris? It's cold here in Clarksville, man. It's 25 and a little bit windy. The wind cuts right through you. But I wanna slice up all of my designs to be, you know, snowing like crazy. See, no, you can keep that. You can keep that. Although we had some flurries the other day. Nothing that really stuck or anything. It all melted off by the time the sun came up. But yeah, Roy did an excellent job printing this, and I thought it came out really well. And that's the multi-material version of the grill. I'll do some multi-material stuff where I'll cut in like some racing stripes and things like that. Some different multi-color packages and whatnot. I gotta find what did I do with that? Is that the one? Oh, there was a kind of sportier looking top that I started designing. I may put that top there, on the one I'm printing now, and see how that works out. So yeah, I think I'll slice that top up there and put it on the one I'm printing now. That way it'll look different than my other one. I thought about designing a different set of wheels to put on it too, so it'll stand out even more. That way when it's sitting next to the other Jeep, it won't just look like, well, that's just another one of those Jeeps, and then, you know, have to show them the suspension and steering in order to show that it's different. That way it'll stand out a little bit on its own. Spinner wheels. Yeah, that would be possible. It could be done. Although I don't know how functional they would be. I think there would be too much friction. Unless you actually design them to have like some bearings or something put in them. No, this one is not lifted. This one is everything about the ride height on this one was standard. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, it works out pretty well, man. So as you can see, the spindles turn. They all prints in place. The only oversight I had was I didn't think about letting both sides compress at the same time. So this design does not do that, but it does let the suspension articulate. And there's more of those 3D printed springs, James, if you're still here. I got 2 that came off the Trunks EX1 last night. I have not taken the supports off of them, so you can see it prints that side down on the build plate with minimal support. There's a little bit of support in there, but that support breaks out pretty easy. So yeah, there's a spring. And where's my Now I will say you got to be careful when you break the supports out, but just kind of grab the sides of the flat part on the bottom and peel it towards the center. From both sides. Then I gently kind of compress the spring a little bit. That breaks some of it. Then you just kind of go in and pinch it and give it a little twist. I have broken springs like this before. So, like I said, it's not, you do have to be careful. Just don't get in a hurry and you're usually okay. I've only broken one of the 6 I've printed. Kind of reach in there with the pliers and pinch it off. There we go. It's cleaned up. The spot that where it was on the bed, if you really want it clean, just compress the spring and compress the spring, take a small file and just kind of round that spot back off a little bit, and it really cleans it up nice. Not too difficult, not too much post-processing. There you go. It's not too difficult, doesn't take too much time. Support breaks out pretty easy. Morning, Robbie Mack and Joe Paddock. There is a, Jake, there is a lift kit available for the non-functional suspension. I have not sat down to design one for the with functional suspension yet. I will at some point. Right now, that's the top I'm going to print to put on the functional suspension Jeep. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun to sit and compress the springs and articulate the suspension and turn the steering. So it'll be fun when it's all done. A more functional model. I still can't believe that I managed to get that all print in place in one try. And functional. I just knew when I was getting ready to print it the first time, I'm like, this will just be a trial. It won't work. I'll have to go back and make some adjustments, but I need to hold it in my hands to see what kind of adjustments need to be made. But it worked first try. So yeah, so we got springs and steering, all to make it a little bit more fun and functional toy. And it's been a considerable amount of work and modeling and all that. I mean, I've spent quite a few hours of seat time doing all this. But yeah, I think I want to take, so this is a different front window, this is a different door top, and different roll bar roof combination thing. I'm going to copy those, and I'm going to go back to this one and paste it. Okay. That way it'll be in the file I am working on. Why is that? Oh. So I need to apply that and apply that. Now I can select that one, delete it, and it'll stay. Those are the tabs where it tabs into the top of the door. I need to go over here. I need to get this piece and doors. Copy those. Bring them in. And then I need to add a mirror modifier to that. Along the Y, not the X. There we go. So I've cut the hood apart to be hinged on this one. I did put the little bit tougher looking front bumper on it because with the functional suspension I had to connect the bumper. Instead of connecting it straight to the frame, I had to connect it to the grill. So you'll glue the bumper and the grill together and then glue the grill onto the fenders. So there is gluing involved. There, you know, I guess I could sit down and try to design snap fit fittings for everything. And maybe I will at some point. I'm going to copy that and hide it. And so, like, if I wanted to make this multi-material, I would go and save just, like, say I wanted to make a big thick racing stripe down the middle, I would go and highlight all these vertices, and I would copy just them. We'll give this one another color. Go here to material. Uh-oh. Blender stopped responding for a second. I'll take that. No. Take that material off of there. Raise that up for a sec. To get it out of the way. Separate the selection. Alright, I'll give this one a new color. Let's Let's do a new color altogether. We'll recolor this thing. Let's do something. Let's do something crazy. Let's make it white for this part, and then let's change the color on this. Let's do. Make this one red. Why are you not showing up? Viewport color. Red. Maybe a little too bright. I'll darken it up a little. Huh. For some reason. We did not get let's extrude that down along the Z. Go invert it 6 moon so we can see. Line that up pretty good. Cool. All right. Now let's fill those gaps. Voice to text in the car. Morning, Ben. Sorry, I got to looking at my screen and stop watching chat. I haven't printed with PETG yet, but I guess I'm going to fairly soon because of the PETG I have coming. Thanks to the folks at Community Ketchup for the Scorpion winning the roll of filament for me. So I got that IC3D construction orange PETG coming. Be one of only 2 rolls in the wild, which I think is crazy. So that's on its way to being multi-material. But I made a copy of the single material one so that I keep it. I just kind of showing you guys. And then once I make the red part there manifold, which is going to take a little bit, then you save both of those as separate STLs, and then when the multi-material unit goes to slice them, you bring both STLs in, and I don't know, someone with a multi-material would know better than I would, but you bring both STLs in, and your slicer's smart enough to know that they go together. And I mean, that's just the way I did the grill. I just cut it up more pieces than just, you know, 2 colors. I did 4. But so if I was doing a racing stripe hood, I could do that. Let me get rid of that one. Let's choose the red. That's a different red than the one I have on here. Okay, red 47. Can't believe I have 47 materials in here. But I do. And that's the doctor's office letting me know of my appointment. Well aware. So if I had a multi-material, I could pretty easily design this thing to do multi-material on the hood, and I may release the multi-material version of the hood for Roy Holly since he has a multi-material unit. It's feeling really Christmassy right now. Anyway, just something fun. So when I get the separate hood, I'll make the single color version and the racing stripe version. The white and red's got me feeling like it's like the Santa Claus Jeep. I did receive my filament order yesterday. 5 kilograms of Amazon Basics PLA. Black, white, silver, red, and blue. It was on sale a few days ago for $55 for 5 rolls. The sale was over, it's back up to $80, but I couldn't pass on it while it was $55. So, use some of the money in my PayPal account. And because I needed more filament anyway. I'm like, if I need more filament anyway, $55 for 5 rolls versus, you know, most of the time I end up spending, using my PayPal money, I end up spending about $20, $25 a roll. So I'm like 5 rolls for what I'm usually paying for, a little more than what I'm paying for usually 2. So I couldn't pass. Especially because I need some white. I needed white, I needed black, and I needed silver. So that had all 3 of those. And then, I'm interested in some red. I haven't printed with any red, but I was kind of interested in getting some red. So the only one there that I really could care less about having got was the blue, because I still do have about a half a roll of Egyptian blue inland. So if I want to print something in blue, I still have about a half a roll of it. So it'll probably take me a while to get to the Amazon Basics blue, but the Amazon Basics black will have to get put into effect pretty much immediately, because I ran out of black last night printing. Out of my 3D Solutech black, printing this. Yeah, boat blue. Yeah. I know, Ryan. I need to design a boat. I can print it in blue. I got lots of blue. The Jeep that I print for this, I'm thinking I may go gray with a black top. And use that Paramount 3D graphite gray I have. So I'll load the black and print. I got to print the rear axle, the tires, the bumpers, and the roof in the black. And then I'll print everything else gray. Uh-oh. My chat just blacked out on me. I can't see it. Why did it all go black? Before this crashes or something. It's moments like this that worry me, and that computer crashes sometimes. I think it recovered this time. Morning, Scalda. Didn't see you in there. So yeah, I need to design a boat to tow behind the Jeeps. And then I need to get on, I still need to get on finishing the truck version. And the trailer. Oh, I got so much to design. There's not enough days in the week and hours in the day for all the stuff that I have in the works. But bouncing around from project to project, then that means I have a consistent flow of new stuff coming out. If I spend all my time on just one project, it seems like it takes me longer, because then when I run into those creative blocks, I just sit there and stare at it for hours. Now when I run into a little bit of a creative block and I'm not sure how I'm going to do something, I'll bounce over and work on another project, well, as not to spend too much time focusing on the frustration of one. And then it'll hit me what I need to do to solve the problem I'm having with the model, just like a bolt out of the blue, and I'll sit down and pull that one back up and finish it. Morning, Matt Johnson. So yeah, it's a little bit of a design ADHD. Because if I run into a problem that starts to frustrate me, if I insist upon sitting until I get that problem solved, I will get very little done because I won't have the idea will come to me later on how I should have solved it or how I could have solved it. And so I'll bounce over to another design, something that I can move forward on without those roadblocks. See, I look at a wingman as the guy that's got your back, regardless of the situation. Because I mean, you know, your original definition for wingman had nothing to do with dating. It's people who, you know, pilots. Their wingman is the guy that's you know, they're paired with, and if they get in a dogfight and they're on the wrong end of it, the wingman comes and bails them out of it. Oh yeah, yeah, Chris. I go through and read comments sometimes on other people's videos, especially that I'm like, wow. Especially people that they like to troll them for one reason or another. Like you go through and read some of Joel's comments, and he's got some people who just they enjoy picking at him and trolling him. Same thing with Barnacles, Jerry. People like to troll Jerry. But you better bring your A game if you're going to troll Jerry, because Jerry will give it right back. The same thing when you see, you know, people trolling Nearies. Nearies Nearies will come back on those trolls and say some things that that are far worse than what the trolls said to him. I feel like grenade. Would your wingman step in front of a glitter bomb for you? I don't know. I don't think he expounded on that any as far as what brought that up. I'm sure he saw something on somebody's video, whether one of his, probably one of his, someone commenting something. Hashtag doubtful. What? Right. Uh, I think their pricing is right where it needs to be because of the size of their shop and the stage of the development they're in. I could see once they've had time to recoup some of that R&D cost and such, I could see the price of it coming down. But right now they're still in that point where they've got all that money and time invested into the research and development that they have to recoup that. And so they're at a point where they have no choice but to charge what they're charging for that. And I don't think they're getting wealthy off of the price that they're charging for. Right. Yeah, exactly. Um, what peak is almost $1,000 a kilo. So you want to, I mean, you want to print peak, and you're talking about a couple $100, less than $200 for a hot end that prints $1,000 a kilo peak. Yeah, that's a drop in the bucket. That's a no brainer, non expense. You could buy five hot ends that'll print peak, or 1 kilogram of peak. So I mean, I think I again, for what it is, for the stage and development that they're at, for the size and stage of the company they're at, I think their price is on point. I just I don't think I would ever imagine myself needing to print peak for anything. It's a very, very specific material for a very, very specific purpose, and I don't even know what that purpose is because I don't need it. I have no purpose for it. But it's a hot end that is overkill for people who are just printing in, you know, PLA and PETG and TPU and stuff like that. If that's all you're printing in, just go get yourself an E3D V6. But if you're wanting to print in high temp materials, I don't think there's a better hot end out there. And it's not necessarily taking business away from E3D, because I think it's choosing parts for a printer is just as different as choosing a printer. Different printers serve different purposes. Different parts for those printers serve different purposes. You you know you could go overkill, and I'm gonna overkill this Ender 2 whenever I get around to it. I'm going to, but you can go for overkill just for fun and dramatic purpose. But other than that, you target the machines that suit the needs you have. So if you're purpose building a printer to print peak, you get yourself a mosquito hot end and the that high temp bed that they've got out at E3D, and build yourself a heated enclosure, because I believe peak not only requires an enclosure but a heated enclosure, if I'm not mistaken. I know Chris is thinking about doing some peak stuff, so he's probably researched it more than I have. But I thought I read somewhere that they recommend not just an enclosure but a heated enclosure. So you get yourself a mosquito hot end, and you get yourself the really high temp bed that E3D sells, and build yourself a heated enclosure, and away you go. And you could do that for well under the $6,000 price tag of machines that are straight from the manufacturer, ready to do that. It requires some engineering and some time and some technical know-how, most of which I have none of. So, but again, I have no need or desire to print peaks, so not at $1,000 a kilo, especially. I'm griping about spending $20 a roll on PLA. I'm certainly not going to go drop $1,000 a roll on peak. For me to be in that situation, I would have to have a job lined up that would pay for the materials enough to make it worth the time and investment. And it would have to be something that was steadily going to be coming in, so that it would turn around and become a money-making situation. Otherwise, other than just sheer curiosity, there's no reason to do it. It's one thing to say, can I? And it's another thing to say, should I? Like when I rebuild this Ender 2, right now I'm leaning towards a 32-bit Lurge board with touchscreen and TMC drivers, and yeah, total overkill on an Ender 2. But since the Lurge board supports dual extruders and mixing, it has me tempted to get a 2-in-1 hot end and put on it, and find a place to mount a second extruder and go for it. Just try it because. But that's not an overly expensive project. It'll be challenging, and I would have to cross several things off of my list as far as things that I don't know how to do. I'd have to learn how to do. But I've already been thinking there's a mount out there to mount the extruder for the Ender 2 on top where the spool holder's at. So you could get that mount and put it up there and put a second extruder on it and get a 2-in, 1-out hot end, and the Lurge board is set up to do that, to do the dual extruder and mixing and all that. And it might be fun to put that on an Ender 2. And it wouldn't be exorbitantly expensive, because you're looking at the price of a second extruder, you're looking at the price of a 2-in-1 hot end and a Lurge board. So, a couple $100. $200, I could move forward with the project and try to make a one-of-a-kind Ender 2 out of it. Yeah. Your scientists were so busy asking themselves if they could, they never stopped to ask themselves if they should. To quote Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park. Broken Wing Man. You two are like an old married couple now. You know that, right? Take these broken wings. Cool, man. I'll check it out after I get out of the eye doctor today. Coming up with solutions to problems that don't exist yet. Yeah. I like coming up with problems that nobody knew could exist. I'm good at that. Um, so yeah, the rebuild project on the Ender 2 won't start until after the first of the year. But yeah, I've been, kind of looking it over and thinking about it, and I'm like, for about $200, I could get a two in, one out hot end, a second extruder, Lurge board that comes with TMC drivers and the touchscreen, and then maybe pick the brain of the brilliant Chris Riley about firmware. Does the Lurge board use a specific firmware, or can you put like Marlin 2.0 on it? I know nothing about the Lurge board really, other than what I've read, and I know it. There's got to be some sort of setup or firmware adjustments that can be made to it, and they're bromance. No, it's cool, guys. It cracks me up. You guys provide entertainment for me in the chat. But yeah, I mean, is it a practical thing to do all that to an Ender 2? No, it's not. But would it be interesting? I think so. Okay. Because you know, I have the perfect excuse, and that's the stock board burned up. So there's, spend, including tax and shipping and all that stuff, almost $50 to put a stock board back in it and just go back to printing the way it was. Or spend a little bit more and make it a cool project that could make for some cool content. And I don't think it's going to be an easy project, because if it was easy, it would have been done before. Or it would have been done, somebody would have done it. And I haven't seen anybody do it yet. And of course, now that I'm talking about this, somebody with more fundage than me is going to go out and do it right now. Yeah, I mean, it's on the same plane as that, Ryan. It really is kind of, souping up a teeny little Ender 2 for no other reason than because we can. And I keep thinking, if it doesn't work out, if I get to a point where it just doesn't, it's not going to work, I can always set the Lurge board aside and the extra extruder and all that stuff, set that all aside for another project and just go back to the stock board without a massive expense. So I look at it as a low risk, overall not extremely high cost project. Like I said, I was sitting down and kind of budgeting everything out, and I'm looking around $200. So it's not a crazy expensive project. It's and if successful, when it's done, it'll be about as high end and functional as the Ender 2 is capable of being. Because it'll have it's already got an auto leveling sensor on it, care of Mr. Chris Riley. So You know, it'll have an auto leveling sensor, 2-in, 1-out hot end, 32-bit control board, TMC drivers, touchscreen. And it'll be a lot of fun. Then I could do some, you know, small color mixing and dual color prints. So it'll be after the first of the year before I get started ordering anything anyway. It may even have to wait till the spring when things pick back up downtown so that I can justify the surplus expense. But all right, Scalda. Octoprint running on a Windows server. Cool. I sense an upcoming video. No, he did not love it. He did not love the Ender 2. He did not like it even. And so he sold it to me. He sold it to me. I got a few really good prints out of it, and then the board fried itself. And it went out with a bang. It went out with a massive layer shift and then just died. It like shifted the layer on the in the y-axis shifted like 30 millimeters, and then it printed one layer like that and then dead. Magic smoke, nice burnt electronic smell. Dead. So at that point, I got to looking and I was like, okay, a replacement board is $45, you know, and I'm like, that's, you know, well, that's not horrible. For a little bit more, I could do something more interesting with it. And I started looking at the Lurge board, and I'm like, for like $90, I can get a Lurge board with TMC drivers on it. And then I got to researching the Lurge a little bit, and I'm like, the Lurge board supports a second extruder. And color mixing, and like, And so then I was like, well, where would I mount a second extruder? And so then I went to Thingiverse and got to looking around, and there was an extruder mount. Some people chose to move the extruder up to the top of the machine, up on top of the Z extrusion. And I'm like, well, I could leave the one extruder where it's at, print that mount, and mount a second extruder up there, put a 2-in, 1-out hot end on it. And so then you know, the plan got all crazy and weird. That's, you know, how my mind progresses, though. So yeah, I went from let's spend a little bit more money and get a Lurge board to the Lurge board supports dual extruders and color mixing. I could mount a second extruder. So yeah, and then I guess the biggest hurdle I would have in all of this is redesigning a case that the printer sits on that has the touchscreen, the board mounted, and I would like to mount the power supply up under there too, so it's all in one unit. So I would have to sit down and design that and print it out, but I've got the S4 can print it, you know, in one piece, and then put it all together. So that led me to all of that and thinking, okay, and started to put together, bill of materials and all that, and I went, it's just doable. Might be fun. It'll take a little bit of thought and planning along the process, and then a lot of learning. But I think when it's done, it would be a one of a kind Ender 2. Here lies whatever's left of Bob. You guys are crazy, but I like it. I got about 15 minutes left before I got to get off here and head to my eye doctor appointment. Appointment's at 10. Can't stop yawning. Yawning in the eye doctor's face. Steering. It makes a lovely little noise when you steer it too. But I like projects like that. I like doing things that not that anybody's told me it can't be done or anything, but I've had people tell me, ask me why would you do that, and just to see if I can. That's why. And worst case scenario, it doesn't work out. I end up ordering a stock board for it, and I set the Lurge and other extruder aside to build something else. I don't think it's I don't think it's a big risk project. But the reward at the end is, some interesting content for the channel and for you guys to watch me struggle and fail on some stuff, and then hopefully ultimately succeed. And then the ultimate reward at the end, if I succeed, is a one of a kind Ender 2 that can do things that nobody else's Ender 2 does. Right, yeah. I mean, after the Ender 2 experiment, I could, start building the frame for a hypercube or something, and then cannibalize the Inner 2 experiment to complete a hypercube, and then have a bigger, better printer that I'd already have the brains for. Or maybe I like the Inner 2 just the way it is, and I just order more of those to build a hypercube with. I'd still like to see the bill of materials for the FK1. I don't think I'd want to build one quite that size because I don't have any place to put it, and it would require a great deal of effort to make a place to put a printer that large. But it might be interesting to make, you know, a 500 by 500 version or something. What's that? What's better than owning an FK1? Knowing someone else who owns one, right? Just because they take up, it's going to take a, you know, the FK1 takes up so much space. You got to have a large makerspace area to accommodate it. And my makerspace is just not that big. It's just not. It's the smallest bedroom in the house got turned into a makerspace. And in order to have room for the FK1, I would have to get rid of like all but one other printer. Yeah, although owning an FK1 at the size Glenn has it would allow me to design and print out something like an aircraft carrier and have the deck done in like 5 prints. So it would have its benefits. Print all the things at once. No, not quite. The transporter here. This trailer is, to print it all in one go, is almost 1,000 millimeters in length to print it in one piece. So while that wouldn't use, you'd have an extra 100 millimeters on each side. But yeah, it would take the majority of the build volume. Excuse me. So yeah, I mean that the trailer's like a meter long. Nothing like testing your design by just sit here and just keep playing with it. Yeah, that would be cool to know if you could arrange all the parts to fit on the FK1's bed in one print. Then Glenn could have found a business model for himself. I'll print you all the parts for the Snappy for X amount of dollars. And let's just start one print and walk away. Yeah, those big rip printers are awesome. They're also awesomely expensive. Modix makes a printer that's 1200 by 600 also. I haven't since I started the stream. I mean, I was on Twitter before that. I have some notifications. Ben's Jurassic Park gate, which looks really cool. Okay. Awesome, dude. Well, I'm running out the door here, and well, I'll stop the stream here in about 6 minutes, and out the door in about 10. And then there's the black belt printer, which is like a extra large version of the printer belt. Have they ever settled the dispute over which one came first? The printer belt or the black belt? Because I know there was a little bit of dispute over that. But I guess it's kind of a moot point since PrinterBot unfortunately went out of business. With only a handful of printer belts floating around out there. If I'd have had the funding available when they were having their closeout sale, I probably would have ordered one of those printer belt kits to play with. And see if I could have ever gotten it working. The chicken had to, because the chicken had to lay the egg, right? But where did that first chicken come from? But yeah, you know, it was a shame, and I know Pooch has one, but I think he sent it to Tinkers to try to get it working. The aliens left the first chicken, or chickens are the aliens. That's an even scarier thing to think about. Mutant alien chickens. I wasted way too much time a couple weeks ago watching that show on cable, the Ancient Aliens or whatever. I'm like, why? After about a half an hour, you one of those shows where you ask yourself, why the hell am I watching this? And then you remind yourself it's because you're lazy and you didn't feel like getting up and finding the remote. Yeah, Tinkers is he's pretty brilliant at that kind of stuff. Alright guys, well, I showed you the functional suspension today. It's coming along, and Roy Holly's gonna start printing it, so I'm sure he'll end up getting it done before I do, as he often does. But functional suspension and steering. And if you two want early access to my stuff, just like Roy Holly and Hawk 3D Proto and Chris Riley and stuff, consider supporting me on Patreon. Never required, but always appreciated. And I'm gonna get out of here. I got a appointment at the eye doctor. So always good hanging with you guys, and we'll see you all next Tuesday. I got to come up with a tutorial for next Tuesday. I don't have one already lined up, so I'll come up with a tutorial for next Tuesday, and we will see you Tuesday morning back here on this channel. Mike Whaley streams tomorrow, and I don't know. And I don't know where Walter's been in the evenings. Haven't seen him around. I don't know if he's still traveling. No, I guess he's back home. I don't know where he's been. I guess he's been busy, family and stuff. So yeah, we'll do a tutorial Tuesday next Tuesday. I just got to come up with something to show you and teach you. And yeah, off I go to the eye doctor. We will see you guys. There's a eye doctor pun for you. We'll see you after see y'all later on. And enjoy hanging with you guys as always. We'll see you next time.